here on my screen. The shame of dating or sleeping with a black guy. Now, ain't that something? So Miss Ann knows the rules. They know if Brad they wouldn't know that they were busting open for the brothers, well, most likely he would drop her like a bad habit because he's going to see her as used goods and contaminated. So, let me go into it here. Got to do the megaphone for this one. So it says here, a decent white guy will never want you if he knows you've been with a black guy. You mean to tell me the most desired man on the planet, if your Brad find out that you've been laying up with that, he don't want you? So, Jenna, a gorgeous blonde woman from a small town in the Midwest, took those words to heart. They came from Mr. Ray, the white guy she'd been dating not long after moving to the metropolis, and she was head over heels for him. She dated a few black men prior to meeting him and mentioned it in the conversation they were having about their previous dating experiences. Mr. Ray was tall, dark, and handsome, with a high-income job that afforded his lavish condo and luxury cars, not to mention his upscale style of dressing. Jenna had finally hit the jackpot and was afraid she'd messed up her chances for Mr. Ray. So she backpedaled and let it be known no sex was involved with any of those black men, only a few drinks and casual conversations. So she knew real quick to lie about that. So that can be very dangerous because we all know the Kings, they carry the HIV and the herp, and you might not want to lay up with Miss Ann, who has been with quite a few, because you don't want to risk the chance of catching something. So it says here, but Jenna did have sex with those black men. I was a friend of her roommate at the time, Karen, another blonde woman who saw no shame in her attraction and desire for the melanated enhanced brethren. It was Karen who introduced Jenna into some of her single black guy friends and set Jenna on the path of foreign indulgence. Yeah, they be busted open, but they don't want nobody to know that. So, Karen heard the headboard crashing against Jenna's bedroom wall and her orgasmic screams from down the hallway of their two-bedroom apartment when the sex happened. She also listened as Jenna boasted about her mind-blowing sexual experience over their morning coffee together in the kitchen. When she began dating Mr. Wright, and he let her know what's to be expected of a woman he liked to call his own, her taboo past became a forgotten and rejected memory. Yeah, she got correct real fast and said, oh no, those guys that I dated, those Tyrones, I never had sex with them. I never touched any of them. It was just casual dating, just hanging out and having drinks. Now, Becky was jumping on that BBC, one chocolate stick after the next. So you see, when she had her fun with the Kings, she jumped to a Brad who had some money. Now, isn't that something? Because last time I checked, BBC don't pay no bills. It's not going to put you in a house, a new car. You can't go to the bank, slam it on the counter and say, hey, he got about a good 8 inches here. What is this BBC worth? I need a couple of $1 million. You can't do that. You cannot. So it says here, Mr. Wright's opinion, and one that echoes throughout the mind of many men who don't want the women of their race or culture to be with anyone other than the men of their group, and it's important for them to shame the ones who do. I can recall a recent occasion when I was helping a photographer I knew search through some equipment to use during the next photo shoot. He told me about a model he was working with who was smoking hot and had a good attitude, but she was kind of ghetto and had a lot of black boyfriends before she became single. Yeah, you see Miss Ann all the time. I see them hanging out with the Kings. And I was like, where you from? You got a black scent. You from Malibu and you talking like a girl from South Central? That can't be, because they ain't got no black folks up in Malibu, no thugs for you to hang out with. Said, oh, you've been hanging out with Tyrone and them. Okay, now it makes sense. So, said we could chalk it up to insecurity. No man wants to think of his woman with any man before him, but the disgust and contempt rises to another level when it's revealed that the previous man was black. Yeah, because Brad, he know what time it is. He know, like I said, the Kings carry the incurable, so ain't nobody trying to catch that lane up with Miss Ann, who been with a couple of hundred of these dudes, because especially on the college campuses, I've seen it before, them dorm rooms, whoo, those dudes be going in and out, and Miss Ann don't have no shame in her game. She's away at college. Ain't nobody watching. Why y'all think they go over there to the Caribbean and bust it up for the brothers over there? And you see, Miss Ann came back with the HIV. So they laying up with Tyrone, and they are catching the HIV and other things at a very alarming rate. So it says here,
Labels like coal burner, mud shark, and the timeless classic nigger lover are terms used by some to describe women of other races who dated black men in the past and serves as a warning for the other non-black men to consider before pursuing them. The pseudo-ownership strategy of socially disenfranchising a woman for dating outside her group usually prevents this from doing so. Unless their rebellion or true desire for another is beyond the concern of what others think, that's how they're labeled. It's strange how these labels apply to black men when traditionally a woman desires a man who's tall, dark, and handsome like Mr. Right. Dark, yes, but not black. So, there you have it. The Kings, well, it is a stigma when Miss Ann is messing around with y'all. And even when they have those biracial kids, when they try to jump back with a Brad look at them kids, and he said, So most of the kids that are in foster care, I did some research, about 50 to 60% of those kids in foster care are biracial, Caucasian mother, black father, because Miss Ann will give those kids away when they get to be of some size, because she realized once I get those kids, I can't go back over there with my people, so I'm going to just drop you off and get a whole new start. That is very, very common with them. See, the Kings don't tell you that. So, it says here, the context lies in the historical conception of handsome European men who were builders and soldiers that labored in the sun, and the Italian, Spanish, and certain Middle Eastern men who possessed the same qualities. However, once the genetics venture towards African traits and the darker skin is paired with coarse hair, large nostrils, and full lips, the more different we seem from the European standards from the world has set for male desirability, and the more unacceptable it is to be with someone different than that standard. A better, more modern wording of the nostalgic phrase will be tall, dark, and handsome, but not black. So, there are women who will ignore the cultural and social stigmas of being with a black man, and they still get labeled and categorized into specific types. The women who talk black or act black, these women don't fit the social norms of an educated and proper woman with Mr. Right but want to have on his arm. Sometimes these women come from places where people talk a certain way, and they're simply products of their environment. However, there are also women who've come from exclusive backgrounds and yet have an affinity for black culture rather than extreme and negative aspects of it. They emulate unfavorable stereotypes of black women and believe that's how they should carry themselves in order to attract the black men. They make it look bad for the rest and become the poster child for cultural shaming. Yeah, so we've all seen some of these non-black women acting like a ghetto black girl because they think that's what black women act like. So all black women don't act ghetto, ratchet, and hood, with the super long nails, loud, just trying to get attention. So it's funny when Miss Ann does it, people see it as cool, but they label the black woman as ghetto. So there you go. A decent white guy would never want you if he knows you've been with a black guy. So the Kings, the most desired men on the planet. So not only do you get rejected in a Brad's world, they reject your kids that you have a Miss Ann, because they look at those kids, they look at her, and they say, don't come around me. So that's just a little something to talk about. The shame of dating or sleeping with a black guy. Well, what can I say? You see Miss Ann, she busted open, and when it's time to get the bag to go sit her ass down and have them little blue-eyed blonde kids, she go back over there with the Brad, put that shit under her feet, and she'll sit there and say, oh no, I've never been with one, and she done laid with a couple of hundred to a couple of thousand. Let that sink in, and I'm out.